saying men should be dangerous. By dangerous, that implies I should be ready to threaten someone, to hurt somebody.
No, you should be capable of it. There's nothing to you otherwise.
Welcome to the Dangerous Man Podcast, where we talk about how to become a better man, take responsibility for our mission, create value for others, and the many failures and lessons we've learned along the way. Stay dangerous.
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Adam Thooft, joined by co-host
John Kostohris.
What's up, boys?
How we doing? How you doing, mate?
I hope you're all doing well.
Got my tea here. We're having a good cup of brew. How you doing there?
Hey, we're doing fantastic. Okay, all right.
Although this is like English tea, not Australian tea.
You ever find it interesting how in like YouTube videos, like, I'll see you with the next one. It's like, they don't see us at all.
Yeah, right.
like we see them.
Yeah.
So,
wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Us as the viewer see them. They don't. Okay. I'll see my camera on the next one.
Yeah, that's
what they should say.
That's an outro part, but we're doing the intro, so.
So we'll see you. Oh wait, never mind.
So guys, stay dangerous.
So hey guys, how you doing?
Yeah.
That's a good welcome.
They can't respond, but you know, we do care about how you feel.
Bro, you're just telling me this now after 56 episodes.
Actually, they can respond in the comments and in the Q&A. So
there is a Q&A section on Spotify, and you should give feedback. We'd love to hear it.
You could even say, "Hey, I'm doing good."
My man.
Anyway,
my man.
So last time on the podcast, on the show, we were talking about being dangerous and talking about attitudes.
Yes.
A little bit. And we were kind of going into excuses and why like excuses like were not good and why you should not make excuses. But farther back from excuses is your attitude. So if you have an attitude that's not necessarily the greatest, the likelihood of you making excuses is going to be higher. I was, reflecting a little bit more on The Magic of Thinking Big by David J. Schwartz, PhD, which means he's a doctor. Dr. Dave. Dr. Dave. Anyway, so Dr. Dave was talking about attitudes in The Magic of Thinking Big.
Which is a book,
which I have in front of me.
A very good book.
Yeah, very good book. Highly recommend.
Yes.
Anyway, he says, attitudes do make the difference. Salesmen with the right attitude beat their quotas. Students with the right attitude make A's. Right attitudes pave the way to really happy married life. Right attitudes make you effective in dealing with people, enable you to develop as a leader. Right attitudes win for you in every situation. And then he kind of goes into a little story of when he was in college. Now let's see how. Years ago, this is Dr. Dave.
Right.
This is not me as a college sophomore because I didn't go to college. This is Dr. Dave. All right.
Dave. Okay.
So I almost feel like I should read this in an Australian accent, but that might make it harder to understand. So I'll use my normal voice.
That's probably wise.
If you want the Australian accent, then it's
our $300.
Yeah.
Our one-time payment of $300 a month.
Yeah. That behind the scenes,
yeah.
you can get this read in Adam's Australian voice as Dr. Dave. Hashtag not an ad. So anyway, what Dr. Dave says about gives us a little story here about attitude.
Let's go. Let's hear it.
Years ago, when I was a college sophomore, I enrolled in an American history class. I remember the class vividly, not because I learned much about American history, but because in an unusual way, I learned the basic principle of successful living. To activate others, you must first activate yourself. The history class was very large, and it was held in a fan-shaped auditorium. The professor was a middle-aged fellow, and apparently well-educated, was, nevertheless, pathetically dull. Rather than interpret history as an alive, fascinating subject, the professor merely cited one dead fact after the other. It was a frightful wonder how he could possibly make such an interesting subject so terribly dull, but he did. You can imagine the effect the professor's boredom had on the students. Talking and sleeping got so out of hand that the professor had 2 assistants patrol the aisles to break up student conversations and wake up those who had dozed off. Occasionally, the professor would stop, shaking his finger at the class, would say, "I'm warning you, you've got to pay attention to what I say. You've got to stop this talking, and that's all there is to it." This, of course, made little impression on his students, many of whom, as veterans, had gambled their lives only months before, had made history on islands and in bombers. This is shortly after World War II, by the way. As I sat there watching this potentially great, wonderful experience turn into a disgusting farce, I found myself wrestling with the question, why are the students ignoring what the professor has to say? The answer came. The students had no interest in what the professor had to say because the professor himself had no interest. He was bored with history, and it showed through. To activate others, get them to be enthusiastic, you must first be enthusiastic yourself.
Come on.
Wow.
That's so good. Wow.
So that just kind of paints the picture of, I think a lot of us have probably had, a boring teacher here or there. I remember maybe having a boring teacher in like high school, where it's just like, oh, let me just talk about this stuff, and then you just have to like take notes on it, and it's just kind of like, I don't like writing. My hand is getting tired, and now I'm falling asleep. So I
boring.
So I think it's really important to have that different attitude.
Yeah.
In order to actually be able to teach something, in order to actually get something across, but also just to function and take action properly. Because like what he was saying in that story, that's kind of like a negative more story of attitude, where it's like, this professor didn't have a good attitude. Therefore, his students did not learn history because he was boring. And
right.
Some of his students were veterans in World War II, and they literally made history, right?
Yeah.
That we read about today. So it's like, okay, they've lived history that was way more exciting than anything that this professor has to talk about. So that was very like disconnecting for them. So really with attitude, what me and John were kind of talking about in our preamble that you can get for $300 a month, hashtag not an ad.
A one-time payment.
One-time payment of $300 a month.
Yes, of course.
Just one time monthly. Anyway, but back in the day, what me and John used to do is say like, hey, like, because we were roommates or housemates. We had different rooms, so technically housemates.
Yeah.
We were like, okay, we're gonna do this thing. We're gonna like get up early, get these things done, and we're just gonna be badass and get after it. And we're like, we're gonna
go to the gym,
read books, do it like take a prayer time, do like get outside. I don't remember all the things that we were trying to do.
Yeah.
But I think we were trying to do like a crap ton of stuff in the morning.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do this for like 2 weeks, and like if one of us fails, then and getting up in the morning at this time, then you have to like pay the other guy like $20 or something.
That's right. Oh my gosh.
And we didn't make it 2 weeks.
No.
Yeah, but like if you think about kind of our attitude was like, hey, we're gonna try this thing and see if it works for 2 weeks. But notice we were like, we're not going to do this thing. We were like, we're gonna try this out and see how this goes. So
right.
it was like, well, if it works in my schedule, if I don't have to stay up late, so
I'm tired today, so we're not gonna go to the gym, Adam.
Yeah, so I just want to sleep in because I stayed up late.
Adam's calling me. Adam's calling me, and I think I did this with him too. It went both ways, but like one of us is up and ready to go to the gym, literally calls the other person. Hello? Are you coming, dude? Like, I'm in bed, bro. What time was it? Like, dude, like, we talked about this.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah. We were like going to get up and go to the gym. I remember now.
yes.
Yeah. Like it was like getting up and going to the gym immediately.
Yes.
And like me a lot of the days, was like, huh? Oh shoot, it's already that time.
Yeah.
And like,
And my whole thing was if I didn't like get to bed early, I would just like basically call off.
yeah, pretty much. You're like,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
I
need my 8 hours of sleep.
you would call off early. I would be like in the moment, be like, nah, man, I can't do it today.
Yeah.
Whereas like for you, you'd be like, man, I stayed up kind of late tonight. We're just not gonna go to the gym tomorrow.
And I would like text him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like
Yeah.
we did not commit to that really at all, because like we just didn't do the things that were required, which was like, hey, going to bed early, or just if you did go to bed late, just know that you're going to be getting less sleep. Like,
Yeah. I think our attitude was kind of like, if it's convenient or even just like my attitude's like that if everything goes perfectly and it fits perfectly into my life,
yeah,
then we're going to get up and do it. And it has to be like perfectly curated.
like almost there's almost kind of, at least for you, John, like some perfectionism there, would you say?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but unfortunately the world is not perfect. So
Mm-hmm.
perfectionism can kind of, I mean, I guess John, you can probably speak to this more than me. I feel like I used to have a little bit of perfectionism in like high school, but I feel like you've had a little bit more perfectionism than I have when it comes to,
Yes. My formal self was a king of perfectionism.
yeah. But was there like a huge difference when you like kind of changed that attitude?
Yeah, I mean, think about it this way. Like, if we look at a definition of what is attitude, how can we define that?
Yeah.
If you do a quick Google search, and I kind of reworded it to just be a little easier to think about, because their definition is really long and hard to understand. But kind of a simple definition of attitude is like a chosen way of thinking or feeling about something.
Yeah.
And so, and then it says typically it's reflected in your behavior.
Yeah.
Is kind of the subnote of that. And so if that's what attitude is, if it's like a choice of how I think or feel about something, then what you need to realize is that attitude, and I'll get back to your question here in a second, and Adam, about perfectionism, but an attitude then becomes completely within you and my ability to choose.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I wasn't feeling like going to the gym. Like, oh, I didn't get much sleep, so we're not going to go. And I know we use gym examples a lot, but I think this is a really early, easy one that a lot of us kind of get into.
Yeah, anything you're trying to do early in the morning.
You start to grow,
Yeah.
I'm going to read books, and it's like, well, I kind of chose to think or feel like that if my sleep bucket wasn't ideal, then I kind of, everything flexed around that. Everything that I thought and felt kind of had to do with that, with my sleep. And so in my mind, I think I was like, if this isn't perfect, nothing else can happen. And I think what I've found in life, and this is 75 Hard, it's a program by Andy Frisella that we've talked about in the show quite a lot.
John's doing it now.
I am actually, yes. I'm on day 8.
Yes.
Adam, you're on.
I'm almost done. I'm on day 71,
Let's
boys.
go.
Almost there. I'm not failing now. Even if I don't sleep, I will not fail.
He's gonna do it. Yeah. And
I'll still sleep fine.
What I found now is like, oh, it's like 9 p.m. and I still have to read 10 pages and work out, go to the gym and work out. Guess what? I read 10 pages and I go to the gym and I work out.
Yep.
It's not like my attitude is no longer if I feel like it or if my sleep is ideal. It's whatever it takes.
Yeah.
It's my attitude is I'm going to complete this day and I'm going to do all the things.
Yeah.
And, there's room for improvement on workflow and getting up early and, getting things done before the last minute for sure.
Yeah.
But the attitude really, it's like no matter what happens, and this is kind of what Andy Frisella designs it to be, whatever happens in the day, you have to just roll with the punches and get it done.
Yeah.
It's going to take some resilience, and there is no there's some aspects of the program that are just inherently inconvenient. Like having to do 2 different 45-minute workouts, and you can't do them back to back. So right there, it's like, your attitude has to be like, okay, if that's what it takes, then I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And not like, oh, that's not a great, that seems hard. It's like, So I think that's kind of, for me in perfectionism, I think it comes down to like, just, I have to really think about that more, but that's kind of one thing it's been for me in that regard. It's just like, oh, if it wasn't perfect, then like these external things really dictated kind of how I felt about it and how I thought about what decisions I made in my life.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Like you almost had that frame of like, okay, I need my sleep to be perfect, and then like line up these other perfect things. And I think I believe this back in the day too, where it's like, oh, the super high achievers just figured out how to like perfectly organize their day.
Right.
And for maximum productivity.
Like this is like a perception that you had.
Yeah, like this is like the perception I used to have of like they just lined up everything in their day, and that really kind of hampered on my belief of me being able to actually do great things. But now I realize actually they just have certain very important things that they do that they execute on over and 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 over again on.
No matter what.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
So they just know what the important things are, and then they execute on those relentlessly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they become successful. Not because they made their day perfect every day,
Yeah.
Which is like that has to do with attitude, right?
Yeah.
Like if they were always trying to be like, no, I have to wait till everything's perfect. I have to wait till I have like if someone was building a business and be like, I have to wait for the economy to be just right to the market. Like it's never going to be perfect. So they're just never going to start the thing.
Yeah.
Like,
wow.
Like, I don't know. Like, do you think like Elon Musk, like, oh, I have to wait until electric cars are popular before I actually start this?
Right.
Like he's the one that made electric cars popular.
Oh, I gotta wait till things are ideal. It's like, who was I hearing talk about this just recently? It was I think Ed Milet was talking about now, quickly, not delaying.
Yeah.
And one thing he said, dude, if Jeff Bezos like was like, oh, I'm just gonna wait, I'm gonna wait till it's a better time to start Amazon. If it's a better time to start Amazon, I'm gonna wait. Dude, like if he had waited till today to start Amazon, what has happened with Amazon over the years.
Yeah.
Like if he had delayed and waited because, oh, it's not ideal, or like, oh, what, but like another thing he said was like Henry Ford. If he was like, wait a minute, if I invent the car, then there's got to be like, what if it breaks? We gotta have to have car mechanics. So I'm gonna have to sell mechanics to people. I'm gonna have to train mechanics. He's like, oh, what about like extra parts and tires?
Yeah,
it's like
I figured out how to make cars really fast, but then I'm going to have to also repair them and stuff.
So let me just not make them then, because I don't have those solutions yet. And he's like, and what he said is like, what you see time and time again of the successful people is they just go for it and they just create and invent the car. And then they later, when that problem comes up, they solve it later.
Yeah. But they just execute on it.
Yeah. And so the attitude is like, no, nothing. No, I don't have to have everything perfect. I don't have to be completely intelligent. I don't have to know everything I'm doing. I'll figure it out as I go when I get there. And that is an attitude.
So it's more of an attitude of
success.
Yeah.
Not like I know how to do everything, or I can foresee every possible scenario and know exactly what I would do. Like it's not about predicting as much as it is the attitude of just going and doing it.
Yeah. Last week on the last episode, we were talking about like attitude versus intelligence.
Yes.
A little bit.
This is so good.
And like kind of what we're talking about now is kind of bringing that out a little bit more, where it's like you don't know all of the things, but like people who are successful, they didn't know how to do all the things. They just had the attitude of, I'm going to figure it out.
Yes.
Like having those attitudes is what kind of got them the success, not actually knowing all the things.
Like Thomas Edison and inventing the light bulb, where they said he found out like 100 or 1,000 different ways not to do a light bulb.
Yeah.
Imagine if he had like, he clearly didn't know all the things it took.
Yeah.
But his attitude was, I'm going to do whatever it takes to figure this out.
Yeah.
And
he
did.
Going back to Dr. Dave's professor, is he knew all of the American history stuff. He knew all of it, and he could lecture on it, but he didn't have an attitude about, oh, let me make this exciting so the students can learn this well.
Wow.
And that's where that professor failed, is because he had all of the head knowledge of the American history, but he didn't actually have the attitude to get it across.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. So
Just like I just want to kind of wrap up on that thought really of like, we are men aspiring to grow and become strong and dangerous, and we want to be leaders, we want to be fathers, we want to have sons and daughters, and we want to help people, we want to we want to cause a difference in our communities, we want to build a make an impact on people and in our businesses and in our families and in our communities, and what attitudes do we have right now, I wonder, that I need to like let go of, that I need to purge, that I need to throw out. It's like this attitude isn't serving me anymore. My attitude of my sleep has to be perfect, or my schedule has to be perfect, and every aspect of success has to be. I
deserve to take it easy.
Yeah.
I worked hard for a part of this day. So like, I know I needed to have other stuff to do, but like I deserve to, take a break, watch some TV or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think that's an attitude in my own life that I need to get out,
Some popular ones are, I'm just going to do the bare minimum of my job description, and then I'm going to coast and go have beers in the evening with my friends.
But like, what's the good attitude to replace those? Like,
right. The question initially is like, what attitudes do we just need to throw out that don't serve us? And, and then because I think there's an aspect of,
but then we want to replace them with proper attitudes. We
do. And I think if we truly want to step into these roles as men, then we have to realize that attitude is what holds us back from fulfilling our destiny. If we're made for our dreams, which we are, we're made to be in our dreams. We're made to do something great with our lives. We were born to do something great with our lives. That we have a purpose and a mission that we are stepping into as dangerous men, and we're discovering and we're growing in. Then what holds me back from stepping into my future are these attitudes that don't serve me anymore, that don't like, who are our family members, that who are kids that we need to love, and we need to like show up with enthusiasm like this teacher did not, so that they can learn the ways of life and they can have the experiences and have the emotions of love and joy in their life as kids. It's like, if you're a father listening to this and you're just checking out after work, these kids are missing out on these experiences of love and of, because you withheld your enthusiasm. So it's like, this is a big deal, finding these right attitudes, that you're talking about. But, what are some attitudes that do serve, you think?
I think like when you've like worked a decent amount from the day, and like there's that, like, you can have the attitude of like, oh, I've worked hard, so now I can deserve to relax. But I think the thing is like, oh, I've worked hard and gotten that stuff today. Now I have this time to actually like go after my dreams and build something that I can be proud of. Yeah. So it's like, and I feel like using that extra time to go build something, I think is like, it's not necessarily gratifying in the moment, but it's over time more gratifying than like watching TV or playing video games or doing whatever other kind of leisure activity. Now obviously some leisure is okay, but if it's every day and you're not accomplishing the goals that you want, you're not going after the things that you want, you're not becoming the person you want to be, an attitude's got to change. Yeah.
I think for the longest time, Adam, with my health, I have been having some health issues in the last year, and really chronic issues as a kid in high school too. And a lot of different pain, joint pain, headaches, digestive issues. And I think, but like, I enjoy drinking alcohol, and but like sugar is so good, and I love sugar cereal, and
sugar cereal is really good,
it is
though.
Really delicious.
I'm tempted to say it's one of my favorite foods.
Yeah.
Like,
dude,
it tastes so good.
I could talk so much about cereal. Man, I was a cereal holic as a kid.
Yeah.
Maybe as probably a young adult too. But,
and they pack it with so much sugar. It's like,
I could never like give up going and having a really good burger. And like I just said, I've had all these attitudes around health where it's like, but I could never do that. And I'm realizing like, is not letting go of those things in my life. And this is kind of my story right now. I'm literally kind of stepping into a lot of very healthy practices in the last few weeks with diet. I'm going carnivore. I've been carnivore for a couple weeks, carnivore diet. and I'm stripping out a lot of other just sugar.
You're going
You know,
more
even-
Arby's than Arby's is. You got the meats.
Yeah.
Don't sue me anyway.
And don't sue me. But I want to say with that, like, I've had to get rid of a lot of these attitudes around, well, I could do that, or I would want to be able to do this. And I'm like, and for what I found was like, is that going to hold me back from feeling 10x as much mental clarity, as much output with my work because I'm healthier? Like, and I realized that I'm jeopardizing my future because I like this comfort and pleasure, and I could never get rid of that. And I'm like, that's not very manly. And so I've personally come to a place in the road, a fork in the road, where it's like, could I go and multiply my ability to do great things because this is something that I've heard recently. The healthy man has many dreams, and the sick man has just one:
To be healthy.
to be healthy.
Wow.
And the reality is, I want to have so many dreams, and I want to see them to fruition. I want to see my money increase, and where I can build businesses and be able to like donate and help people and serve and be generous. And I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to like have a family, kids, wife, and share experiences with them where we aren't just pinching pennies every day, living in fear because we don't have enough, and we have to look for the on sale ketchup and the mental place that takes up in my head of anxiety. Instead of just like, whatever, just buy what we need, go buy these steaks. Let's not worry about it. Let's go and like focus on helping and serving people, and not about like, did we leave the lights on at home and is our electricity bill up $10? It's like, I have many dreams, and I want to not feel sick so that I can do these things. And I just feel like this is kind of a place for me where this attitude has had to shift for me to a whatever it takes mentality of like, I don't care the pleasure that I've gotten from food. I'm willing to let go of this because it doesn't serve me anymore, because I see the future that I'm called to as a man by being healthy. And for me, I've found a lot of ability to just let go and shift, and then be passionate and go hard on it, and not like hold all this hold all this doubt. Like, nope, I literally burned that bridge and moved on. I'm becoming a healthy man. And that's my story right now. This is the last like month of my life. I've really been, I've wrestled with this a lot, but this time I was just like, nope, this is what needs to happen. And that attitude is the only thing that was holding me back from becoming healthy and pursuing my dreams more. And so I'm still kind of in the middle of it, and would love to kind of keep people posted on that story. But yeah, I'm going, there's this guy named Dr. Sean O'Mara, who's just all about optimizing the body with health. And just what an incredible guy. Actually, we hope to get him on the show at some point. Yeah. I've been really, getting to know him a little bit, and he is just on fire for wealth and health, and lives here in Minnesota. So
he sounds pretty dangerous.
Dude, this guy is, I could share a lot about this guy, but he's 61 years old, almost 61, and he's a badass. And the guy's healthier than most 20-year-olds,
Damn.
And he could do pull-ups with like 2 plates and like do like 15 of them.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah. So just, anyways, hopefully he can come on and share his story. But that's kind of going back to attitude. That's a little bit of my story right now. And I find that I'm starting to like finally let go of chains that have held me back, because I was willing to give up these attitudes that hold me back. And this is just one example with health, but.
So have you experienced there being like more freedom from like the change in attitude that you've had over health, John? Of where you're like, oh, like now that I'm doing this, because I know for me, with doing 75 hard, now that I'm on like day 71 and almost done, being like these little things in the moment I don't care about as much, because now I have, over the course of this mental recalibration program, I have learned like the juiciness of delayed gratification. And
the juiciness, yes,
the juiciness of delayed gratification.
Amen, brother.
That's
come on.
That's a good one right there. But
bars.
Because I think all of these little things, like that instant gratification, always has like a negative thing a lot of the time, like down the road. And like I think, John, both you and me have just gotten tired of running into those down the road things, like, oh, I ate this food, now I don't feel very great. Right. Oh, like, I didn't work out, so I'm still really skinny and feel like kind of weak. Oh, like I didn't actually like do these I wasn't actually reading enough, so I feel like I'm not actually gaining knowledge to be able to, communicate the way that I want to communicate.
Yeah.
And now that we're actually
So good.
like getting more into these things and actually have some of this stuff behind us of growth, we can look
Right.
back and be like, wow, like I've grown. And been like, that is
Yes.
that the sweet tantalizing satisfaction of growth and accomplishment.
Wow. That was articulate.
Yeah.
That was
That's
so good.
juicy.
The juiciness of, yeah. So, how would you want to wrap this, Adam? And
Bro, like, I'm just excited for the future, man. I think that's the huge thing about really delaying gratification, and then you get your delayed gratification after the delay, and you're like, whoa, I'm excited for the next one. So then you want to go even like harder the next one, so you can, like it's almost like you want to do, like I almost want to do the harder things so then I can get the bigger reward at the end, because I've like kind of learned like, oh, delayed gratification is so much better than like instant gratification, but you actually have to experience delayed gratification to know that.
right.
And so I'm just really excited for the future, man, but also like the future is built now.
Yes. Yes.
And I like, you can build now, you can do now, and like I want to build now and do now, and I'm just gonna set my attitude right. I want to get these, like even you and me talking right now as we're recording this podcast.
Come on.
Like, I want to rip out my bad attitudes, put in good ones, and freaking go kill it, dude. So
I mean, dude, like what would it look like if you and I sat down this evening and thought about one attitude we wanted to get rid of, and we decided we were going to be like, this doesn't serve me, I'm going to change it and replace it.
And the thing is
what if we did that once a week? Like, what would we look like as men?
Yeah.
Like, what would we look like in a year when people talk to us and they're like, holy cow, you guys are way different than you were.
And the cool thing about it too is attitude is a choice.
Yes.
Right.
So remember the definition.
So it's not just like, oh, I want to change how I feel about this. Well, it's like, that's a little bit more nuanced and hard to like figure out. But an attitude is more like, oh, like, I notice I do this. What is the attitude behind that? Like, I notice I, kind of relax at a certain point in the day and kind of do whatever. What's the attitude behind that? Oh, I've done it. I've worked hard, so I've done enough today.
Right.
Oh, no, maybe I should switch that to, oh, I've done everything I quote unquote need to do today. This time is now I can chase my dreams in this time. Everything I do here is extra. This is where I become badass.
Wow. Yeah. Now this is where I have time to serve. Who am I going to go serve?
This is the time where I claim my greatness.
Dang. Come on, dude. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Let's remember, guys, like what would it look like if we as a Dangerous Men's tribe, what if in our communities, our countries, our friend circles, if we chose to think and feel differently about things so that they would serve us, so that it would help us as men serve other people. What would our families look like? What would our futures look like? What are we doing to actively create a better future for us and our families as men? Why don't we look at our attitudes and start there? And so, I just get out there, guys, and
freaking claim your greatness.
Share the show if you want to help other men embrace danger and become truly great. You've been listening to The Dangerous Man. Join us next time. Until then,
claim your greatness
and stay dangerous.